industry veteran almost.
The highlights then from this first half set of earnings and why you had that confidence then to pay out this dividend this morning.
Well, morning, and it's always nice to be back. And, and there's been a lot of choppy investment markets here. We've had Trump tweets, we've had trade wars, we've had Brexit concerns every day. And I think despite that, Aviva's been, I guess, like a pillar of stability in those choppy seas. So we've seen EPS up 4%. That's a clear beat. That's about 7% ahead of analyst expectations. That's, I think, pretty good. That gave us confidence in the dividend. That's up 10%. And if you have a look over the last 4 interim periods, our dividend's been up by double digit each time. And what all of that has allowed us to do is we've reconfirmed our expectations this year that we would improve EPS by greater than 5%. So I'd say respectable, solid performance against a pretty uncertain backdrop.
You've been busy doing a lot of restructuring, Mark, which we've talked about on a number of occasions. Now you're many years into that programme. How do you drive growth at the business? Where's the growth going to come from?
I think you might have just called me an industry veteran almost there, Anna. But I have been around for a few years, and in all of these markets and all of these businesses, you can take segments to drive growth. We're seeing growth right across the board. We've got 8 core markets, and 7 of those 8 core markets got between 7 and 14% growth, and that's on the back of some strong growth last year. So we're not finding growth that hard. You just got to know where to look. Look at in the pensions market in the UK. Look at the general insurance market. Digital in particular has been very strong for us again in this first half. So we're seeing it pretty much across the board.
You mentioned general insurance there. Some analysts point to the capital-intensive nature of that business, and of course you've said that you want to be allocating capital towards businesses and segments with the strongest returns. So does the growth that you're going to get out of general insurance, that justifies the capital, does it?
Yeah, the products we're choosing at the moment are actually lower capital intensity, both in life insurance and general insurance, so that's pretty helpful. As you may recall, we've got quite a significant capital buffer. Our balance sheet's in a pretty good place, and we've built it over a long time. We're in the place of deploying capital. We've paid down quite a bit of debt so far this year. We'll pay down more in the second half. We're halfway through our buyback of £600 million of shares, and frankly, at these sort of valuations, I'll buy back my shares all day long. All
right. Let me ask you about Aviva Investors. You've been recruiting quite heavily in that part of the business. What are your expectations for that division?
Well, it's had a slower first half. I mean, the market, as you've seen, for the investment arms has been a bit slow in the first half. What we've seen is, I'd call it solid. Growth there in earnings was 7%. We've been putting quite a bit of cash into building out our equities franchise and our liquids franchise, and you expect that to continue. And we see the fund flow in the second half actually increasing a bit from the first half. So I'd say that's a solid rather than spectacular performance for that unit.
The preference shares issue, is that something that you've learnt a lot from, Mark, as a business? Have you moved on from it? Have you convinced shareholders that you've learnt the lessons that you needed to there?
Well, we certainly got a bit of attention over that period, and I think we listened and we gave clarity to the market in a few days. So I think that gave us some pretty good feedback. However, the issue, Anna, is still there. The fact is that this is an industry issue and individual companies cannot fix it. And it's up to the regulators to act, to provide some clarity. We're asking them to do that, and we're certainly listening and waiting.